What's up, guys? It is week number 10 is in the books. This week, we're talking about the all-important side hustle. Intro! It's the hustle dance. If you could see my feet right now, you'd be witnessing the most amazing river dance in the history of river dances. Rockets, like I said, we're going off. The music's blaring. And enough of that. So week number 10, like I said, in the books. One audition last week. Really good, solid audition for a movie. I thought I nailed it. Didn't hear anything back. I might still, who knows? With a lot of TV stuff, usually you hear back in a day or two. TV moves pretty quickly, but movies, it can take a little bit longer to hear back. I've a couple times I've heard of actors not knowing they got a part over a month after they auditioned. So who knows? Maybe I'll still hear from this movie. Anyway, I think the summary for 2018 stands at like 17 or 18 auditions, 1 callback, 3 bookings. This week I'm headed out to Kentucky. Last week there was some weather issues, so I wasn't able to start on the film last week. So this week, hopefully, that will happen. A lot of my stuff's outside, and it's supposed to be bright and sunny days on a lake. I'm on a boat. But it was snowing in Kentucky last week, of course, so that didn't work out very well. Anyway, one of my buddies suggested talking side hustles, an actor buddy, and Greg, thanks for suggesting that. And I think it's a pretty important thing and something I think is fun to talk about because I've had a lot of jobs since becoming an actor, and it's really tricky. And I think, it's one of the most, it's like one of the most strategic things in your career. Cause it's really hard to manage an acting career when there's like the demands of the industry care nothing about your life. You have to live, you have to make money to eat, you have to make money to pay rent, you have to make money that you have to spend on all the different classes and headshots and seminars and all the various things that you just need to pay for just to even be in the game of being an actor. Anyway, so I wrote down some of the side hustles that I've had. I'll just go over them. I'll just list them. Well, I should say first, so the idea of what's worked for me best, kind of criteria for what's a good job as an actor, and there's always exceptions. Generally, kind of have to find something that's pretty flexible because if you need to get out during the day, all auditions happen, not all, but the majority of auditions happen Monday through Fridays. During regular business hours. So it's really hard to find a job that is flexible with you being able to take off time. If you have an audition during the week, especially if you have multiple auditions per week, where you can just leave your job, leave for 2 hours and come back. Or if you book stuff and you have to be gone for a couple days or a month or what have you, for these jobs to be like, okay, we'll see you in a month and, actually have your job. So it definitely has to be a flexible job. It has to pay enough so that you can live and do all the things that I said before. And usually you can't really find something that pays that well and is flexible enough. Those two things don't really go hand in hand when finding jobs as an actor. So it's kind of tricky to manage this stuff. And after a while, like I was losing so many jobs for the first, 5, 6, 7 years of my career because I would get a job, audition would come up, and this job wouldn't let me leave during the day. So then I would lose that job because acting was priority number 1 for me. I think it's pretty important that, whenever we make sacrifices to move as an actor to New York or LA or wherever you're going to go, remember remember what you went there for, because you didn't move there so you can work at a pizza place. You didn't work there so you can be a server in a restaurant. You didn't work there so you can work front desk at a gym. You can do that stuff anywhere, guys. Anyway, I get off on these tangents and I forget like my thought. So anyway, let me just go over some of these. Oh, well, that's what I was saying. So, I was losing so many jobs that weren't flexible enough because I would get an audition and they wouldn't let me leave during the day. So then I would have to quit. Or I would book something, and I'd have to, be gone out of the office or whatever, or out of the place for 2 days, and they couldn't have that either. So then I'd lose that job. So I just, I think we just go through all these jobs. Anyway, so let me just go over the list. So I wrote down 22 jobs, and those are 22. I might be missing a couple. And hopefully my math is right. Maybe there's more than 22. It'd be really sad if I can't count to 22. Anyway, so we had Cell 1 was my very first job as an actor. Wasn't too much of a flexible scheduling issue since that was like the first job that I had when I decided I'm going to be an actor. Maybe I shouldn't count it because I wasn't even living in New York yet. That was like when I was just starting as an actor and decided I'm going to save money. So I got this job. Maybe that one doesn't count. Anyway, it's a cell phone place. I sold cell phones. So I worked at 2 movie theaters, Abercrombie and Fitch, don't judge me, Walden Books, a calendar store, which the calendar store was bizarre. And one of the worst jobs I've ever had because I sold last year's calendars. I don't even think I sold 10 calendars while working in that. I worked for 30 days, for about 30 days in this place, selling the previous year's calendars. And there was no internet. Like the phone wouldn't work in there. I was the only employee. So I could never leave. I could never, even if I had to break, somebody would come, and let me leave for a half hour and I'd come right back. But it was just horrible. Anyway, I worked at a pizza place in New York City. I worked at a New York Society public, maybe it was private library, and also in New York City. I worked on Wall Street, America, down in New York City. I worked for a company called AIG. And I was a temp there, so I bounced around office to office. So I got to work all throughout New York and, also Jersey City and New Jersey through AIG. I worked for a furniture moving company, which was an awesome job. I'll talk about that in a minute. I've worked for Lyft and Uber. I've worked for Postmates and Caviar, which are food delivery services, third-party delivery services. I'll talk about that too. I've worked for IKEA, which was awesome. Planet Fitness, Howard Johnson Hotel. Howard Johnson Hotel, I worked overnight shift. On occasion, I'd work 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Some days, and then some other days I'd work 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Interesting job. I worked for a furniture liquidation company. I've been a server at 3 different places, and I've worked as a server or caterer at a catering event company. And I've and I'm currently working as, my current side hustle is I'm a reseller on eBay and Amazon. So let me talk about a few of these because I'll tell you which ones just like were not worth even attempting to do as an actor, stuff that I highly recommend as an actor, and why. So let me go over that real quick. I should say, I didn't put this on this list, but I also do, as of recent, I started working with younger actors. I guess not everybody's younger, but I've mostly worked with younger actors, like teenagers and such that I've been, doing classes with them and seminars, that kind of thing. And that's a lot of fun. And speaking of fun, I should comment on that real quick because it's all in line with that kind of like the message this week. I always try to make sure that the kids are having fun because this, being an actor, if you're not having fun along the way, it's just not worth doing because there's so much about this industry that is not fun. It's not fun when you're working 50 or, working whatever you're doing, sacrifice for whatever you're doing to make your dreams come true. sounds cliche and weird. I don't like cliches. But, you know, you go through a lot of shit, which we could talk about all day, but if you're an actor, you know what I'm talking about. It's not fun when you're, you know, putting in a lot of time and energy and money into auditions that you're not booking for years on end. It's not fun when you know, when you can't afford to eat out, you can't do anything with your friends because all your money's going straight to rent or straight to classes or headshots or whatever. It's not very fun. You know, it's not fun having no control. There's just so much about this industry that is not fun. So if you're not enjoying, you know, the one time that I do have fun is getting in when I have an audition and auditioning for that part. Like, the acting part is fun. And if you're not having fun there, you can be really overwhelmed by the rest of your life. And if you're not going to be having fun anywhere, then maybe you should honestly consider doing something else, because there's zero guarantee that all this time and energy and efforts that you're putting in to your life as an actor, there's zero guarantee that all those sacrifices that you're making will result in any form of success or any kind of job. It's just not, unfortunately, it's an industry where hard work doesn't always pay off. It's an industry where, you know, I've mentioned this before. It's just like there's just no kind of guarantee that anything will ever happen for you. And it's an odd thing to say out loud, but that's why it's really important to make sure when you can, you got to be having fun at some point in your career. If it's only having fun when you get to audition, if you're having fun, or at least in classes, just make sure that the process or some of the process is fun, guys. Because if you're not having fun along the way, then it's not worth it, and you're doing it wrong. So anyway, let's just talk about a few of the jobs. So, movie theaters. Since I was just such a huge fan, I always wanted to work in a movie theater, but they don't pay very well at all. So I should say a lot of these jobs that I've had, of these 22 or 23 jobs, a lot of them I've had 2 or 3 jobs at one time. So it's not like I jumped from one job to the other. A lot of these I was managing 2 or 3 jobs, or, you know, all at once. Movie theaters pay really lousy, but it's fun to be, you know, as a movie fan, as an actor, just to kind of be, just to be around movies. Like, I really liked it, but the flexibility of the job was good, because you can mostly work, or I could mostly work evenings and weekends. You know, and any job that you have, if you can kind of stay under the radar, and if you kind of just request evenings and nights, you can kind of like get away for working there for months at a time. And once they get to know you, if you're a good worker and you're good at, you know, you get along with everybody, you have good personality, and you just get along and work well there, when stuff does start coming up acting wise, they're more likely to be like, okay, that's cool, you know. They're more likely to work with you a little bit on your schedule, because they like you. They like having you as an employee. But if you start pulling that, I got an audition at 3 p.m., sorry, I got to go, after your second day, you're not going to be there very long. So anyway, Abercrombie & Fitch, like I said, that was probably one of the worst jobs. I worked there for 2 days maybe before I just couldn't take it. It was terrible. It was just terrible. I don't want to talk about it anymore, because it'll bring up open old scars. Calendar store, I said, was bizarre. I served pizza in a New York City pizza joint, which was fun. Hours, though, were not flexible. Not a good job to have. Anything that's only open during the day is generally a bad idea. If I go through all this list and say all the things that didn't work out, it's obvious which didn't work out, because otherwise I wouldn't have had 22 jobs. But it's just, you know, it was all from flexibility, where nobody wanted me around the guy who could only work a few times, and sometimes he had to call out because he had an audition. Like nobody wanted to do that. However, let me just say, like, nowadays it's so easy to make something work between Lyft and Uber and companies like Postmates and Caviar. If you don't know what like Postmates and Caviar, specifically Postmates, I think Grubhub. Postmates is like a third-party delivery service, so if, it's not just food. So for people who are completely unaware of what Postmates is, Postmates, like, you can call if you want to order like I don't know, Kentucky Fried Chicken. If you were ordering Kentucky Fried Chicken, they don't have a delivery service, but you could call Postmates and they would hook you up with a delivery driver who will pick up your meal and bring it to you. It's that kind of thing. Or if you're an elderly person who can't go get their medicines at CVS, they can use Postmates, and somebody from Postmates will go and pick up the prescription and bring it to them. So it's just a cool company. Between those kinds of companies where you can completely make your own schedule, you clock in, clock off whenever you want. You don't even have to deal with anybody else. You have no bosses. You're the boss. You set the hours. The pay can be but if you need more money, you just work more hours. And if you have a good week, or you book a good job and you don't need to work as much one week, then you just then you can enjoy some time off. But I highly recommend those types of jobs, just because they fit in completely to the criteria of fully flexible, and the money is good. And if you need more, you just work more. There's no excuse not to have, to make that kind of stuff work anymore. I know being a server can also be pretty lucrative, but it's like the stereotypical actor thing. We're all servers at one point, and see, I burped in this video. I burp in every video. It's weird because I feel like I don't burp very much in regular life, but it's always when I'm doing these videos. Anyway, Burping Queen. I don't know the words to Burping Queen. Anyway, so those companies are great. Now I'm currently doing online retail. I sell stuff on Amazon and eBay, which I got into in 2012. I can share a personal story that has no relevance to my acting career, I suppose, but maybe I can tie it in. In 2012, I got into a motorcycle accident out in Los Angeles. I was actually here. I can tie it in because I was on my way home from set, and it was late. It was like 10:30 at night, and I was there's just me and one other car on the road. Anyway, this car managed to hit me. We're going opposite directions. But anyway, this car managed to hit me. It was bad. I got injured. I couldn't walk for about 2 months. And, I lost my job. I didn't know this job was super cool. They actually let me come back after the 2 months. But, I couldn't work for 2 months, and bills had to be paid for those 2 months. So I was trying to figure out what I could do. So I was poking around the internet, and I don't remember how it was just one of those nights where you go down the hole of YouTube and you end up, you're like, how did I get here? I was trying to watch cats playing with balls of yarn, and now I'm watching World Star high school fights in the parking lot. Like, how did this happen? So I was poking around. I ended up finding scrappers online. These scrappers that had YouTube channels. Scrappers are like the guys who, guys and gals who go around picking up scrap metal off the street, and they resell the metal for money. So I was like, yeah, that looks pretty fun. And I set my heart on doing that, and I actually tried to be a scrapper in LA, but it's really tough because the guys that have been doing it for, years and years and decades, like, they get up earlier than I wanted to get up, and they were just pros. So I wasn't very successful as a scrapper. all said and done. But going from scrapping, you get into these other related videos, and these videos kind of led to people who were selling stuff on Amazon and eBay, and I learned from them. I started, test running that, and anyway, that started in about 2012 and slowly built up, and that I've been doing that ever since, and it's fantastic. I love it's completely flexible. Again, it's perfect for my acting life. It's completely flexible. The money is good. If I need more, I go and I find more stuff to sell. It's all in my time. That's a whole nother video. If anybody was interested in that kind of stuff, completely non-acting related, but it's a perfect job for my life as an actor. And then what else was I going to say? There was one time, that 2014, roughly 2014 to roughly 2016, not the whole 2 years, but within that 2-year period, there was a time when I was just straight up a living actor. A living actor. I was not dead, because if I was dead, I would be number 1 on IMDb Star Meter. Anyway, what I meant to say, that's all I was doing. I was a working actor to the point of I was paying all my bills. Everything was through acting work alone, and I didn't have to do anything. Just be an actor. It was like that was the dream, right? So there was a short time where I was able to just live off acting work, acting generated income. But it was short-lived. We will get there again. And I don't even know, I enjoy what I do right now as my side job so much that I think I'd do it no matter what anyway. But anyway, I'm getting way off on a tangent. But talking about side hustles this week, and I'm not sure if I covered everything, but I would say what I said. Lyft, Uber, Postmates, Caviar, those kind of jobs are the best. Serving jobs worked out well. Overnight jobs are pretty cool, and sometimes some of these jobs sucked really bad because it was like they just rip the creative spirit out of you during the day. You spend 8 or 9 hours at a job, and it's like the last thing you want to do is go home, and now you have to do acting related stuff to find work, and now it's like your energy's gone, and you just you want to go and you want to recover from the horrible day you've had at work, because it's horrible. So I'd say stay away from that stuff. If that's how you feel in your current job, just do something else. One thing I think all actors kind of, this video's getting kind of up there, so I wrap it up soon. But one thing that many actors here, I know I've heard it multiple times, is like, when are you going to get a real job? And I know it kind of it's kind of like joking around, and family says it. When are you going to get a real job? And one thing that I talk about with other actors is like, just people generally don't have an idea of that acting, just because we're not on screen, or just because we're not on a set, doesn't mean we're not working, because so much of the time you only get, a lot of times, especially when you're starting out, all your friends and family get to see is you say 2 lines on some TV show. They don't know how much work goes into getting that 2 lines. So it's like, when you got to get a real job, people really don't realize that it's acting, just the efforts going into creating an acting career. It is a full-time job. And between all the classes you're taking, all the energy you spent researching and studying and doing what you got to do, and you're also managing the rest of your life, So acting is very much a full-time job. Driving to your auditions, driving from your auditions, driving to classes, the time you spend in classes, the time you're researching and going to workshops, seminars, blah blah blah. Like, that stuff all adds up to, I would say, pretty close to a full-time 40-hour work week. It's Some people, yes, some people don't do that much, whatever. I've certainly been lazy with a lot of that stuff, especially as of lately. Anyway, I think that's good enough for this week. We're at 25 minutes, which is nuts. Doesn't feel like I've been talking for 25 minutes, but whatever. So thanks again for watching the videos. Thanks for your comments. I will get to more suggestions from you guys and then in the coming weeks. I think that's about everything. I'm looking forward to getting to Kentucky, working on this film. Saturday, I will do another reminder. This coming Saturday, March 31st, I will be on a show called The Inspectors. It's a good part. Saturday morning, I believe at 11 a.m. or 11:30 a.m. It's on CBS. It's called The Inspectors. I have a really large part on the show. Hopefully you can catch it. Let me know your thoughts. If you're like, dude, that was the worst acting I've ever seen since ever. Oh, and I also have to say, it has been brought to my attention that some people, I'm going to remind people in the next video as well, because this one's so long, I don't know if people are going to make it this long, but some people want to go back and watch some of the other weeks that they've missed. And you can do that on Facebook if you just go up to the search bar. You can now hashtag, I'm adding a hashtag to all my videos. You can go and hashtag my favorite actor 2018, because let's face it, I'm your favorite actor. And if I'm not, I am doubting your life choices. And I'm not sure how you made it this far. Thanks for your support, guys. And I will talk to you again soon.